Good evening, everyone. My name is Hannah Messire. I want to tell you a story. 2,000 years ago, Christ died on the cross for my sins, and he did something so amazing for me. I had two parents. One was a Muslim. She got saved and gave her life to Christ, and my dad, who was supposed to be a Hindu priest, also gave his life to Christ. I should have known from a very young age that the Lord had his hand on my life. I have 5 sisters, and that he was going to use us all and bring us to himself. What happened to me in my life is that I was a lukewarm Christian. I grew up in the church, and my parents were really serious about the Lord, but somewhere in the back of my mind, I thought that once I was in a relationship and got married to a really great Christian guy, that's when my life was going to be perfect, and that's when I would feel completely fulfilled. But it was a lie that the enemy had told me and that I fed into because I wasn't willing to surrender my heart to Christ 100%. I was willing to give him 90% and hold back some for myself because I thought that my dreams were worthwhile too. So when I went to college and I went away for college, what happened to me is I got in this relationship with this really gorgeous looking baseball player, and he was a Christian too, so it was okay. And it was just a bad relationship because after a couple of weeks, I started to realize this guy wasn't serious about God at all. He wasn't even going to church. And then, but then I stayed in it because I was like, oh yeah, God is important, but I'll go to church, and it's okay if he doesn't go to church. And then it began to escalate, and the relationship got really bad to the point where he was very possessive and physically abusive towards me, and I dealt with everything because after a certain point, I began to feel so worthless. And in feeling like it was just, I know all of you guys are probably sitting there and thinking, this girl's so dumb. I'm glad I'm not like her. But yes, I was so dumb. And I was looking for fulfillment in a guy. What happened is I began to realize that I started feeling empty. No longer could I sleep at night the way I used to be able to when I was in my parents' home. I used to just fall asleep easy. But then I had no peace in my life. I started feeling empty. I was crying all of the time because everyone around me was kind of seeing what I was going through, and I was ashamed of it. And my life was just going down the drain. I remember one day I was standing by security at my school, and I was so self-absorbed at that point. I really was. I didn't really care too much about other people, even though I was nice and kind. I was a good Christian girl, but the very first commandment I had chose to neglect my entire life. Love the Lord your God with all of your heart, mind, soul, and strength. I completely neglected that. What happened is I was standing by security in my school, and I started praying to God. I knew that my life was ridiculous. It was empty. I felt so worthless at that point, and I cried out to God, and I was singing that song, I will lift my eyes to the hills from whence cometh my help. And I was like, Lord, you know that I want to serve you with all of my heart. That had been a desire in my heart when I was younger. I just had always thrown it aside. And I was like, but if you would take me out of this relationship, then I will serve you with all of my heart. What ended up happening is, and I asked the Lord that this guy would cheat on me and leave me because I didn't think I could get rid of him otherwise. But that's what happened. He cheated on me and left me. Thank God for that. When I went back home, though, it was a call to obedience. The Lord said, you wanted to serve me, so this is what I'm going to bring you to. My mom had Parkinson's for 14 years, so she was kind of debilitated. And I went home and I started taking care of my mom and finishing school. And then after I finished school, my dad was like, I started working, and then my dad was like, Hannah, I want you to quit your job. I don't want you to work. I want you to take care of mom. My parents are God-fearing people. Everything in my mind after they had offered me a higher position made me think, okay, you shouldn't quit. But I did because my dad asked me to, and God called me to obedience. So that's when my life actually started, a call to obedience. He freed me from so many things. He gave me peace in my life, joy, love, things that this world couldn't give me and offer me. The Lord Jesus Christ gave me, and he wants to give that to you too if you would only give your life completely to the Lord. Thank you.